questioned that he'll be taking over large areas of policy from his cabinet colleagues. In a BBC interview, he said that would be counterproductive and that most of his work would be done behind the scenes. But the opposition parties claim that splits are already appearing in the new cabinet.
King of all he surveys, if some versions of his job description are to be believed, Michael Heseltine seemed at pains this morning to play down the vast amount of power he's said to have been allocated.
The worst thing that could happen is that if colleagues felt that I was there trying to steal the limelight, trying to undermine their position, trying to make them do policy changes they don't want to do, all that would do would be to close the doors of Whitehall. You will not find me divided from my colleagues, and you will certainly not hear of any discussions that have gone on between me and my colleagues, other than from them.
On that score, no one was quite sure who started the rumour that Kenneth Clarke's job was offered to Mr Heseltine not long before the new cabinet met for a Downing Street tea party. The Prime Minister's office issued a vehement denial today, quite at odds with the sweetness and light on display here. The idea that Mr Heseltine might try and move in on the work of other ministers is sensitive stuff. The opposition are doing all they can to keep it sensitive, Labour accusing the Deputy Prime Minister of freelancing on tax policy.
Once again, they're saying different things. This time, Mr Heseltine, about the extreme levels of borrowing and the government's failure to do much about it. And once again, the words are quite different from different cabinet ministers. And in the case of Mr Heseltine, it's becoming clear that he didn't need to take the title of Chancellor. He already seems to be doing, or trying to do, much of the job already.
Michael Heseltine has been given huge influence. He's been given a role, but he has no empire. The Secretaries of State have empires, and they're not going to take kindly to somebody else coming in to tell them how they should better do and better present their job.
So for Mr Heseltine, the problem is how to look powerful without seeming predatory. By speaking in terms of influence today and stressing his internal government work will go on behind closed doors, he may have found the solution. But some doubt it. One government source said, if we don't get the job description soon, this will become the story of the summer. Jeremy Vine, BBC News, Westminster.
9 days after a department store collapsed in the South Korean capital Seoul, a 21-year-old man has been pulled alive from the rubble after rescuers heard his faint cries for help. He says he survived by drinking rainwater and eating cardboard. The defending Wimbledon men's singles champion Pete Sampras has held on to his title for the third year running. In the final against Boris Becker, he lost the first set on a tiebreak, but bounced back to take the next three, 6-2, 6-4, 6-2.
Pete Sampras may never have Boris Becker's charisma or rapport with the crowd, but today he unquestionably joined him in the ranks of the great Wimbledon champions. The overwhelming support for Becker heightened the sense of anticipation for a memorable contest, well, it did for most anyway, and both players contributed fully to a first set to stir the deepest of post-lunch slumbers. It went, expectedly perhaps, to a tiebreak won by a bristlingly determined Becker. But Sampras's commitment was every bit as deep, and increasingly he was asserting himself. If he had difficulty convincing the uncommitted that he deserved a third successive title, Becker was beginning to discover how much he wanted it. The German's once mighty serve was misfiring under pressure, Sampras ruthlessly exploiting every weakness to square the match. And the champion's own formidable service was now laying down a barrage that shot Becker's game to pieces. Little more than an hour after levelling, the champion was serving for a third title.
I'll just, go back home tomorrow and just take some time off, put the racket up for a while, just really reflect on what I just did. But right now, it's going so fast that it's pretty tough to really appreciate.
Later, centre court consolation for Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, such a brave loser yesterday, as she and Jana Novotná took the women's doubles in the final held over from last night. She may yet find winning at Wimbledon can become an addictive habit. Try asking a certain Miss Navratilova, who can't kick it even in virtual retirement. Today's mixed doubles victory with John Stark was her 19th Wimbledon title, celebrated with all the joy of her first. And Glory B, unexpected British delight on court 1 as the unseeded Martin Lee and James Trotman won the boys' doubles in straight sets. A small, though maybe significant return on a massive tennis investment funded by Wimbledon. But how much longer will we have to wait for one of their ilk to get their hands on the big gold pot? Kevin Geary, BBC News, Wimbledon.
And that's all from the newsroom this weekend. Good night.
Good evening to you. We've got another couple of days of this really hot and humid weather to contend with. Then it's going to turn very much fresher as these weather fronts bring some thundery rain in from the Atlantic. We're already starting to see some thunderstorms coming up into the Brest Peninsula. One or two could get up into the Channel Islands, close to the south coast of Devon and Cornwall before the end of the night. And a very warm and sultry night it will be too. Still a lot of cloud in the east and down the southern side to start with. That'll be breaking up except the far northeast of Scotland to give some sunshine. Sunshine from the word go in the west and also some showers in the southwest as well. They're going to gather and start to work their way northeast by midday into Wales, into parts of the Midlands, down into central southern England too. And then they're going to get heavier tomorrow afternoon as they trundle away northwards, some of them turning thundery. But even so, I think even in here, many places will miss them. Now, the biggest thunder risk, I think, could well be in the afternoon, evening, really North Wales, the West Midlands, down towards central southern parts of England. It's going to be hotter than it has been today. 32 Celsius, for instance, is 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The warmer weather getting up into Scotland too. Still cooler along that eastern coast. And then as we go into Tuesday, most of us seeing some heavy thundery rain, fresher weather just coming into the southwest. But that's the forecast.
From the author of Presumed Innocent, a story of deceit.
Maybe I should have looked at those records before you did.
Of money.
Some man has in his pocket a check from my wife for $850,000.
Of power.
I want those documents we subpoenaed from Mr. Hart now, Counselor. When do I get them?
Victoria Principal, Stephanie Powers, and Hector Elizondo.
Dear God, what did I do?
Carry the burden of proof. Wednesday at 10 on BBC One.
So what do they think you are now?
Forbidden love.
You are being told that because of the family that you come from, you are not a fit person to see their daughter.
Can't be too long.
I mean, who the hell do these people think they are, these Bancrofts looking down their noses at people out in vet?
They just better not find out the truth.
They won't.
Paul.
Trust me.
Desire and Deception in Castles tomorrow at 7 on BBC One.
Thomas Jefferson and the Italian monarchy are two of tonight's specialist subjects in the first semi-final of Mastermind from Stratford-upon-Avon in 50 minutes here on BBC One. Before that, drama and the curious hunt for a crossword answer is almost at its end as Alan Bates and Sinead Cusack star in Oliver's Travels.